What if I told you that one man changed the fate of ancient civilizations, not through destruction, but through wisdom? What if I told you that a king once walked across continents and took cities without letting a single flame rise into the sky? His name was Cyrus the Great, the ruler who believed that a heart won peacefully is worth more than a land taken by force. This is the story of an empire that grew not by crushing people, but by raising them. An empire built on justice, dignity, and freedom. When the world around it knew only chains and swords. Prepare yourself, because you are about to witness a tale that reshaped history in a way no conqueror ever did. The story of Cyrus begins in the ancient lands of Persia, where mountains touched the sky and tribes struggled to survive under the harsh command of rulers who took pride in fear. In this world, a young prince watched the suffering of ordinary people and learned early that real power does not come from threats but from trust. He was raised among shepherds, soldiers, and storytellers who whispered tales of lost justice and forgotten honor. As he grew older, he saw the Medes treating Persians as lesser beings, forcing them into silence. This injustice burned inside him, like a fire that would one day change the entire world. Cyrus knew that a kingdom built on cruelty eventually collapses, but a kingdom built on respect becomes eternal. He carried this belief in his heart like a sacred truth. When he walked through villages, he noticed how people responded to kindness with loyalty and how they feared rulers who ruled through terror. These observations shaped his destiny. The young prince realized that the ancient world did not need another tyrant. It needed a protector. It needed someone who valued people more than power. This understanding became the first pillar of his future empire. When Cyrus first gathered strength, the world expected a brutal rebellion, because that was the normal path to power in ancient times. But Cyrus moved differently. He knew that unity created strength far greater than bloodshed. The people of Media were suffering under King Astyages, who ruled with pride and ignored the cries of his own subjects. Cyrus approached the Medes with respect, not hatred. He treated them as equals rather than enemies. His fairness spread through the land like a quiet revolution. Soldiers who once obeyed Astyages began to believe that Cyrus could give them a better future. When the final confrontation arrived, something unheard of took place. The Median army refused to fight. They chose Cyrus because he had earned their trust without hurting them. The throne of Media fell with almost no violence. This moment changed history forever. Cyrus did not punish their generals. He did not remove their elders. Instead, he embraced them and allowed their culture to remain strong. This peaceful union of Persia and Media became the foundation of the largest empire the ancient world had ever seen. It proved that Cyrus was not building a kingdom with swords. He was building it with hearts. The kingdom of Lydia was famous for its wealth and its king. Croesus believed that no one could challenge him. But when Cyrus approached Lydia, he carried not destruction but strategy. The battle that took place was decisive yet controlled. When Cyrus captured Sardis, he made a decision few conquerors would ever consider. He protected the people. He protected their markets, their farms, their temples, and their families. He ordered his soldiers to treat Lydia not as a defeated land, but as a new partner. The citizens of Lydia were shocked. They expected devastation, but found fairness. Even King Croesus, who had stood against Cyrus, was not executed. Instead, he was shown mercy. Cyrus invited him to share wisdom and experience, because he believed every mind had value, regardless of past conflict. This action changed the image of Persia instantly. People realized that joining Cyrus meant stability, growth, and safety. Lydia became a proud part of the empire because its people trusted the ruler who chose compassion over cruelty. This victory was not written with blood. It was written with respect. Babylon was considered unbreakable. Its walls were massive, its gates were legendary, and its armies were feared. Yet Cyrus conquered Babylon in a way that stunned the world. The Babylonians were suffering under King Nabonidus, who ignored their traditions and angered their priests. Cyrus understood their pain and used wisdom instead of war. He created alliances within the city and promised the people that their beliefs would be protected. When the Persian army entered Babylon, the people did not fight. They welcomed Cyrus as a liberator. No homes were burned. No temples were destroyed. No screams filled the streets. Instead, the city remained peaceful even during its fall. Cyrus immediately released prisoners, ended forced labor, restored religious freedoms, and returned stolen lands. For the first time in ancient history, a conquering king was treated like a hero by the people he conquered. This moment became one of the greatest examples of leadership in human history. Among all the achievements of Cyrus, one artifact rises above everything else. It is a small clay object known as the Cyrus cylinder. At first glance, it looks simple, yet it carries ideas so powerful that historians call it the first charter of human rights. The cylinder records how Cyrus treated people after the fall of Babylon. Instead of enslaving entire populations, he set them free. Instead of destroying temples, he rebuilt them. Instead of forcing cultures to vanish, he protected them. This was completely opposite to the behavior of ancient kings who usually erased the identities of conquered nations. Cyrus believed that every group deserved the right to speak its language, follow its beliefs, and honor its heritage. The cylinder states that he allowed displaced communities to return to their homelands and restart their lives with dignity. One of the most meaningful actions was the release of the Jewish people from captivity, allowing them to rebuild Jerusalem, which made Cyrus a respected figure in their history. The ideas written on the cylinder inspired generations far beyond his lifetime. Even modern scholars consider it a symbol of justice, freedom, and leadership. Built on moral strength, this artifact stands as eternal evidence that Cyrus did not gain loyalty through fear. He earned it through fairness. Cyrus did not rule like the kings of the ancient world. His leadership was a revolution in itself. Instead of sitting above his people, he walked among them. Instead of demanding blind obedience, he encouraged honest conversation. His system of government respected the identity of every land within his empire. Each region was allowed to manage its own traditions, laws, and local affairs as long as justice was preserved. This approach allowed millions of people to live together peacefully under one banner. Cyrus believed that diversity was a strength, not a weakness. He appointed governors based on talent and integrity, not birth or wealth. He ensured that taxes were fair, and that no group was oppressed by the officials who governed them. Because of this, people living in faraway regions felt connected to the empire rather than controlled by it. Writers from distant civilizations described Cyrus as a shepherd of nations because he guided his people with care. This form of leadership created loyalty, so strong that even after his death, the empire continued to grow. His rule became a golden example for future leaders, proving that kindness is not a weakness and justice is not a burden. They are the foundations of true power. The impact of Cyrus reached far beyond the borders of Persia. His actions reshaped civilizations across Asia, the Middle East, and parts of Europe. When he freed the Jewish people, they returned to their homeland and rebuilt a society that would later influence entire cultures. When he respected Babylonian traditions, he restored harmony in a land that had been shaken by the failures of its previous ruler. When Lydia joined the empire, trade and communication between East and West flourished. Instead of forcing one culture to dominate, he allowed a beautiful blend of languages, art, knowledge, and spiritual beliefs to grow side by side. Scholars traveled freely, merchants crossed regions safely, and communities shared ideas without fear. Under his rule, people from different backgrounds learned to see one another as partners rather than enemies. This unity was rare in the ancient world where conflict was common. The Persian Empire became a bridge between civilizations, with Cyrus standing at the center, like a guiding pillar. His dream of a peaceful, interconnected world became a reality that influenced generations long after his time. Though Cyrus preferred peace, he was also a brilliant military leader. His strategies were clever and calculated, yet always guided by principles of protection. When a battle was unavoidable, he made sure to minimize suffering. His soldiers were trained to show discipline and honor. They were forbidden from harming innocent citizens or destroying sacred places. This approach earned the Persian army a reputation unlike any other. People trusted them even in times of conflict. Cyrus understood that fear creates short-term control, but respect creates long-lasting loyalty. He avoided unnecessary bloodshed because he knew destruction weakens both the defeated and the victor. His generals followed his guidance and learned that the greatest victory is the one that brings stability, not ruin. Due to this philosophy, many regions chose to join Cyrus through negotiation rather than resistance. They preferred to be governed by a ruler who valued peace instead of a tyrant who celebrated violence. This combination of strength and compassion made Cyrus unstoppable and set a standard that few conquerors could ever match. Cyrus was admired not only as a ruler but as a human, being with exceptional character. Ancient records describe him as humble and approachable. He treated common people with the same respect he offered to nobles. When he traveled across his empire, villagers greeted him with trust, because they knew he listened to their problems. He rejected arrogance and believed that a king must serve his people, not dominate them. His decisions were always guided by fairness. If a dispute arose, he listened patiently and judged without bias. Unlike many kings who disconnected themselves from the realities of daily life, Cyrus involved himself fully and made sure justice reached every corner of the empire. He valued lives more than victories and humanity more than power. This moral strength became known across the ancient world, and leaders from faraway lands acknowledged his greatness. His ability to rule with kindness without showing weakness made him stand out as one of the most honorable figures in history. When Cyrus died, he left behind an empire larger than any before him, yet his greatest achievement was not its size. It was the moral foundation on which it stood. He showed that an empire does not need cruelty to survive. It needs justice, freedom, and mutual respect. The principles he used to govern influenced future empires, including Greece and Rome. His ideas continued to shape political thought for centuries. Even today, scholars, leaders, and teachers refer to his policies as models of ethical governance. The Cyrus cylinder remains a timeless reminder that true leadership is measured not by the number of lands conquered, but by the number of lives improved. Cyrus proved that the greatest king is the one who brings peace where others bring war, and hope where others bring fear. His legacy continues to shine as a guiding light for humanity.